Yeah, look, the online safety week has some themes. Because people are always asking us, well, practical advice. What should I do? What should I do differently? So if we get Net Safety Week, we've got 5 kind of areas that we've encouraged people to consider. The first is to have a conversation with family about safety and security. With so much going on in our busy lives, we often use technology very broadly, but we don't talk a lot internally about safety. So we really want people to have a conversation about each other's experiences and whether they feel that they've got safety and security under control. So that's the first thing, just have a conversation inside the family and see where people are at. The next thing we're really pushing at the moment is a focus on good digital citizenship. So we're seeing a lot of hate speech and aggressive behaviour online, and the law is not particularly clear about how to address, especially hate speech. So the best way for us to deal with that is for the community to moderate speach, to express the way that have debates the way they would like to be debated with. There's no reason why people can't debate the most difficult topics in the world without being offensive, and we encourage people to do that. The third thing that we've focused on is misinformation. So there's a big rise in misinformation and fake news, as people talk about, and it spreads very quickly online, and people are not always aware that something is fake news, and they share it on and they become part of the problem as a result of that. So we created some resources last year which we're encouraging people to go and look at around misinformation, but that's something I really want to raise the profile of, because I think people are not really aware of how misinformation works online. We're also encouraging people to have a look at some pretty sensitive topics. So one of the reasons that quite a bit of harm occurs online is because people don't feel comfortable talking about very difficult things. And a good example of that is image-based sexual abuse, where people produce videos in intimate situations, and those videos are sometimes used later on as part of exploitation or blackmail. And people don't feel comfortable talking about it, people don't know what to do about it. That's what makes life even more difficult for the victims of that crime. So we want to try to encourage people to be able to talk about those kinds of things much more openly, and we created a resource called the Bare Facts with the Classification Office in New Zealand, really to encourage people to talk about it and bring it out of the dark, which is something that's so important in terms of addressing harms. The last 5th thing that we're focused on is really encouraging people to know their rights. New Zealand was one of the first countries in the world to establish a law around abuse and harassment online. That's the Harmful Digital Communications Act. Basically, that makes it an offence to create a digital communication that harms another person. There are limitations to it. It doesn't cover everything, unfortunately, but there are when you are being abused and harassed online, in New Zealand, it is likely that is a breach of the law. And if you want to have something done about it, there are agencies that are paid by the government, like Netsafe, to do something about it for you. So we want people to know that, and we want them to be comfortable to come forward and access that service.